Radio Network, where even more newsmakers go to be heard.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stocking. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the Internet, we're coming to you live from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
That is Colonel Alan West, and if you've ever had the opportunity to meet that gentleman, he is all that and then some. Ramrod straight. My favorite quote is, he would walk through hell holding a jerry can filled with gasoline if it saved the life of one of his soldiers, and that's who he is, and he's a great friend of the show. And but you're not listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show. You're listening to the Conservative Commandos radio network, because we have grown by leaps and bounds. And programming now runs, most of the day, and it always has a conservative message. And I am happy to be here on Monday with our show founder and inspirational leader, Rick Trader. Rick?
Great to be with you, Kevin. Always is. And before we bring in our next guest, if I could just mention, once again, stockingsforsoldiers.org, stockingsforsoldiers.org. This is a project that we here at Conservative Commandos are behind. And what Stockings for Soldiers is, it's a nonprofit 501(c)(3) organization that gathers and sends Christmas stockings to our men and women overseas. What I love about Stockings for Soldiers, Kevin, is every dime collected goes to this cause. No one makes a salary. There's no administration fees. Every dime goes to collecting things to fill Christmas stockings for our men and women overseas. Some of these soldiers are not going to get anything else other than this gift for Christmas,
because they lack a family at home. And this is not just a Philadelphia regional thing. No. It's not a Mid-Atlantic thing. Nope. Because these stockings go to soldiers from all 50 states.
Right.
So if you're listening on the Internet, as I know some of you are out in the Midwest and the West Coast, down in the D.C. area, hey, stockingforsoldiers.org. Cut a check, send a few dollars up. You're doing a good thing. Hey, our next guest is Mr. David Stevenson. He's Policy Director at the Center for Energy Competitiveness at the Cesar Rodney Institute. And he's going to come in just about 30 seconds to discuss the tangled hot mess from Washington known as the EPA Clean Power Plan. Why this plan just might be illegal, and how states may push back while at the same time comply. And Dave Stevenson has spent the last 5 years as the director for Center of Energy Competitiveness at the Cesar Rodney Institute. He's published over 100 analytic studies, including major studies on the EPA Clean Power Plan, electric grid reliability, and public policy drivers of energy costs. That's always near to me. He regularly appears in newspapers, radio, and TV, and is a frequent background resource to journalists. Dave has developed a toolbox of strategies to apply in different situations to affect change, including legislative lobbying, participation in various energy task forces and advisory councils, intervention in public service commission cases and lawsuits. He has built credibility to the case of regularly being to the point of being consulted by legislators, regulators, and public service commission staff. And he holds a BS from Rutgers. He's the former executive from DuPont. And his favorite time, when he's not with us on the radio, is spent with his 7 children, 15 grandchildren, and his lovely wife. Welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show, Dave Stevenson.
Thank you so much, and I've got my camis on, and I'm locked and loaded.
Well, you've come to the right place. You have been studying at some length the EPA Clean Power Plan. We've had other visitors to our show talk about different aspects of EPA overreach and misguided policies. Give us your take on what is the greatest problem with the Clean Power Plan from EPA, and what in the heck are the states going to do about it?
Well, you shall know them by their fruits. This whole thing started out wrong, so it ended up wrong. Basically, it started out with an abuse of executive power when President Obama wrote an executive order to the EPA. He was put out that he couldn't get a national carbon tax when he had control of the U.S. House and Senate, and he wanted more wind and solar. So he wrote an executive order, told the EPA to take a look at it. Guess what? They came up with a regulation that is basically gets a national carbon tax by having each state pass it individually, and requires more wind and solar. About triple the wind and solar we have now. Enough, just the wind farms itself would be enough to cover the state of New Hampshire if we ever get this thing through. So it was, and also a misuse by the EPA of a regulatory process. The whole thing is supported by a pack of lies. It's going to cost the typical American family probably $1,000 a year.
Really?
And the intent here is to, the EPA's intent is to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. Each state was given a goal. And when that is accomplished, the idea is we will have somewhat less carbon dioxide emitted, and we will have an improvement in global warming. Guess what? There is no improvement in global warming when the whole thing is done.
Well, why do you say that?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, no, why do you say that there will be no improvement in global warming? First of all, we actually reject here in our discussions the fact that the globe is warming over the last dozen years or so. But you say that this won't work anyway. Why is that?
Actually, I agree with you that there probably is either very little or no global warming. But the EPA says there won't be any improvement. The EPA actually has a calculator. They've taken it off the website, but you can find it at the Cato Institute, where you plug in how many millions of tons you're going to stop CO2, and it'll tell you what it'll do for the temperature in 2100. And it basically comes out to zero when you put this plan's numbers into that calculator. So the Congress had a hearing and invited Gina McCarthy. She runs the EPA, and they asked her that question. She says, this shows it's not going to do anything for global warming. Is that correct? And Gina says, yes, that's correct. We're not going to do anything for global warming. Well, isn't that the point? Well, the real point is there's a global warming conference coming up in Europe in December, and if we don't show a good example, we're not going to get any of the other 195 countries to make a commitment to reduce carbon emissions. So the real reason we're doing this is to get that conference to agree to a worldwide carbon emission. And here's the results of that so far. 195 countries, 50 of them have made any commitment at all, and they're only doing it because there's this $100 billion international fund that's going to be given from rich countries to poor countries, so follow the money.
So there's a gift bag. If you attend the conference and you're from a poor third world country, you'll likely get a gift bag with some millions of dollars in to take home.
Or billions, yes. And that's great for these kleptocracies in some of these small countries. But even the countries that have already made a commitment, let's look at China's commitment. China's commitment is we're going to increase emissions as much as we want until 2030, and then we won't increase it anymore. We won't give you any details of that, but that's our plan. And meanwhile, the Chinese are building a new coal-fired power plant about once a week. So a new one opens. So their emissions are going up dramatically. So even if you cared about carbon dioxide emissions, most of the problem is going to be in the third world at this point.
We're on the phone with David Stevenson of the Cesar Rodney Institute. He's Public Policy Director for the Center for Energy Competitiveness. David, could you stay with us through the break? We need to do some commercial stuff here, and then I'd like to continue this conversation on the other side.
Absolutely.
We're coming to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network Studios, WNJC 1360 AM, our flagship station in Philadelphia and around the world on the Internet. Now get your pencils out with CPR Worldwide Media, Leading Edge Radio Network, TalkStream Live, The Pundit Press, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Roar Radio, and AM, FM 24/7. And someone passed me a note, yet one more venue will be added even this evening. Stay with us. We will be right back.
They say I'm crazy. I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but I...
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the Internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glassboro, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Biden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glassboro, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittlesportshop.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
If you would like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, please check out our websites, www.ccrsnetwork.com and ccrshow.com.